Hey there, it's Lindsay, the Frugal Crafter. Maybe, maybe not, I don't know. Who can say? Who can say? It is Sat Chat time. I'm filming this at 2:41 in the afternoon on Friday, and it has been a wild and crazy week. Where to begin? I don't know. So my marker class finally launched this week. It wasn't ready last weekend. I thought I might have had it done by last Saturday. But no, I decided I wanted to refilm a couple segments because I thought they could be more succinct and a little bit more simplified and more effective, you know? That's the whole thing. There's so much of a learning curve with alcohol markers that I just wanted to simplify it as much as I could, but without leaving out anything important, basically. So it took me a few more days to get those clips edited and refilm a couple things, but I'm really happy with how it came out, and the response has been overwhelming. So guys, thank you so much for checking out the class and for enrolling. And I have a launch special on the class, so you can save 50% off. Either use the coupon code marker50 when you check out, or click the discount link in the video description. It will show up with a discount on it already. But I'll just type out the coupon code just for, if some reason you're not watching it on YouTube and you're just, going to my Teachable School and trying to find it that way. But yeah, it's been going really well. I'm really happy. I didn't know how people would respond to it because I wanted this class to be welcoming to everybody. I wanted it to be for people who wanted to draw everything from start to finish and do more illustrations and fine artwork with the markers. I also wanted it to be helpful for people that love to use adult coloring books and love to rubber stamp and love to do projects like that. So there's patterns. So if you don't want to draw, but you can draw step by step with me, all that. And I think I really hit that sweet spot because just from the feedback that I've been getting from students. So I am really happy that that it's going as well as it is, and I want to thank you so much for your support and for taking a chance on my classes. It really means a lot to me. So anyway, that class is up and ready to go. I'll link to it, like I said. And I want to update you on the Amazon things last week that I said I bought, because I've used them all. And I picked 4 winners, so I am so happy about that. I used the clear Post-it notes, the translucent Post-it notes, to make a mask. And I used it in this. This is actually up in Critique Club right now if you're a Critique Club member. It's a mixed media piece. I drew the cake and then I stuck the sticky notes down and I drew around the outside of it. And then I cut it out with scissors and then put it back down, and I used an airbrush to do the background. I used alcohol inks in the airbrush, which I do not recommend. It was so fumey down here, and I was like, I'm pretty sure I lost a few brain cells from that endeavor, but I would do this again, but I would do it on mixed media paper or a Bristol, and use watercolor, like liquid watercolor, or just to even take watercolor, as long as it's not like a cadmium or a cobalt color, like put some watercolor, mix it down into like an inky form and put it in the airbrush. But the thing is that I hadn't used the airbrush in quite a while. I actually have a nice airbrush, a Pashi airbrush, but it's complicated because there's different nozzles you can put on, different needles you can put in. It just feels like kind of like a big ordeal, and it's kind of expensive. So I was like, well, I don't want to mess it up, and I just haven't used it in so long that I kind of forgot how to use it. So my husband a couple of years ago got me this. It's plugged in, so I can't bring the compressor out. But this little Zenny, I think it's Royal something airbrush. Anyway, it's $40. I'll link it down below. It works so good for this. You can adjust your spray a bit, but it's very simple. And the little compressor isn't very loud, because that was the other thing. I had this big compressor. It was so loud. Whenever I wanted to use it, it was always just inconvenient. And that's just a little tiny, I think it's more of like a hobbyist or even like a makeup airbrush maybe. You could use it for like models and things like that, but it's got plenty of power for what I'm gonna do for these like backgrounds and stuff. So I want to play more with that and maybe bring some tutorials on that. So yeah, that's been fun to play with. I just left it right on my desk plugged in, so I'll use it. I'm not going to use it if it's not where I can grab it. I think that's just like anything. The products that are like within reach are the ones you're going to use. And if your supplies are too precious, they're too expensive, or you're afraid of running out, or you're afraid of breaking them, you're not going to use them. So, that's why I say it's not always the best thing to get is not always the best, highest quality, most expensive product, because of the precious factor that can prevent you from experimenting and trying and playing with it and using it and getting to know it. So in those cases, I think it's better to get something that's a little bit more affordable, still good quality, but more affordable. What else? I've been using the flat compasses like crazy. I really like it because you know what other thing, other than being able to make circles, which, you know, I use a lot of circles in my artwork. Besides that, having that straight edge on the side, because like a regular compass, you can't use it as a ruler. The straight edge on the side, I can use it as a ruler. So, and like an inking edge. And that's super handy when you're just like traveling with a little sketchbook and a little pouch of supplies. Like I'm sitting upstairs during Inktober, I always have little on-the-go packs so I can sit in the living room and watch TV and do my Inktober for the day, or I can, you know, be upstairs at my little fun art I have just a little drafting table in the corner of my bedroom, and I'll sit there and I'll, you know, work on my Inktober sketch where I don't film. I can, you know, it's just handy because I don't have all my supplies up there. I just have a few, and it's nice just to have something easy like that. So that was also a winner. The T-squares worked great. I've used that to make a few lines on things. I mean, it's nothing like earth-shattering, but it worked great. And what was the other thing? Oh, the pens. Yeah, I like the pens. So the Funosuke, I don't know, still know if I'm saying it right. People have told me how to pronounce it, but for whatever reason, maybe it's spraying alcohol ink and losing brain cells. I cannot remember how to say it correctly. Though I'm so glad about that 3-pack, because the 3-pack, I had one Funosuke pen and it had the hard tip and it was black. And they're kind of like a flexible brush tip. They're made for calligraphy artists. I'm not a calligraphy artist. I don't have particularly nice handwriting. It's not a skill I've really explored very much. So that's what they're made for, but they are wonderful for doing expressive lines, and I love using them for inking my Inktober designs because I can go from thick to thin. I don't have to change. I like to decomplicate things as much as possible. So rather than having 10 pens to get the different line weights that I want, I can use the one pen and vary my angle, vary my pressure, and it works great for me. And I like that hard tip. But I wasn't sure if I might like a softer tip better because I only had that one pen. I think it came in like a Smart Art box years ago. And so I know that it doesn't dry out quickly because I had it for a long time. Not that I'd used it much, but I'd had it for a long time. And I saw they had a 3-pack that was cheaper than just buying one pen. And it had a hard tip one like I had, a soft tip one like I didn't have, and then it had a twin tip one, which honestly, when I saw that, I thought what it meant was that it would have like 2 nibs at one end and do like a double line. Because I've heard they're calligraphy pens, so I figured that would make sense because some people with really pretty handwriting, they'll have those nibs that have like those pens with 2 nibs, and they'll do like those, like their calligraphy, and have like those pretty double lines. But turns out it's 2 nibs, one on each end, and one is gray and one is black. And the neat thing about the end being gray is I can do a sketch with the gray, and then I could either use alcohol marker over it, or I can use watercolor over it, or I can use ink over it. It doesn't smear. And then when my painting or the color's all done, then I can go in with the black end, and I can do my detail, my highlight, my fine lining and whatnot. So I actually put that one in my little, my Viviva travel art kit, the Inktober travel art kit that they came out with this year, and I keep it right in my little sailor desk upstairs in the living room. So when I'm kind of like I'm a little too tired to want to come down here and get supplies, or I just don't feel like going up by myself to work in the bedroom, I want to hang out with, you know, whoever's around, then I can just sit on the couch and I can doodle with that, and it's easy. It's all together in one little compact thing. So that was a winner too. So yeah, I'm really happy about that. I like the sticky notes, and a lot of people probably will be a little displeased with the translucent sticky notes because they are thin plastic. But if you look at it this way, and it's, you know, hey, if you've got a problem with buying those, don't buy them, absolutely. But the thing that I like about them is that and I taped like I taped 4 together so I would be able to like cover my whole design. There's a lot of overlap there. They're 3x3, the ones that I bought anyway. And what I did it so I'd have sticky on the outside, on the perimeter, so it would hold it and not let the ink get underneath. But the neat thing about this is that if you're a rubber stamper, like I always save my masks when so you stamp on if you've never rubber stamped before, there's a technique called masking, and you stamp your image on a Post-it note, and you try to stamp over some of the sticky part, and then you cut it out, and then you stamp your image on the paper, and the thing that you're stamping, you want to be in front of everything. So say you're stamping like a chicken, and so you stamp the chicken on on your project, then you stamp the chicken on the Post-it note, you cut it out, and then you stick the Post-it note over the chicken. Then you could stamp a cow and a pig kind of over the chicken, and when you take the mask off, the cow and the pig would look like it's behind the chicken, right? So, and I save my Post-it notes that I do that for, but after you've done a few projects, the ink just seeps through the Post-it note and you can't use it anymore because Post-it notes are really thin. That's why they work good for masking, because they don't leave a halo around your design. The stamp can it's so thin, the stamp can meet the paper and not leave a gap between where your mask is and where the paper is. These are thin too, and these are plastic, so you could use that for your stamping, and then you could actually wipe it off and save it and use it indefinitely, as opposed to a Post-it note, which you might use maybe 4 or 5 times before the ink has gone through it and you need to replace it. So, and also because of that, you can wipe off the ink on this, and you can see that you can see exactly where, if you're lining things up properly. So, yeah, I wouldn't use these just for making notes myself. I'm using them as an art tool that I will be reusing, and I think I'm going to keep this because this would be really fun to play with on some mixed media paper with my airbrush and some watercolor inks, because yeah, I was like, oh, this is great, I'll just use and the reason I use the alcohol ink on that is because it's thin marker paper, so I didn't want it to warp with watercolor. But if I had, and honestly, I didn't start out doing an airbrush. Actually, I'll show you what I started out with. This is, you got to see the bad, I let you see the bad pancakes. I got nothing to hide. I'm not going to put on airs like I'm some perfect artist and I do everything right the first time. Martha Stewart doesn't live here. This was my first attempt, and that was not the galaxy background I was going for. And so then I thought, Durfee, Lindsay, why don't you get your airbrush out? And actually I had to text my husband. I'm like, where's my airbrush? Because he had used it to do some model painting. And so it was in his area, and I couldn't, he walks into my studio and he's just like, and not here, I'm talking in the room of Horde, and I'll be like, it's in the bottom drawer, blah, blah, blah. And he'll just walk in there and just be like, no, nope, I can't deal with this. I walk into his woodworking area and I'm like, nope, I don't know where anything is. So yeah, I didn't even intend to start off with the airbrush. I just thought that would work good, and it did. Oh, I want to share this. I will do an Inktober wrap up when I'm done with the month, but I want to share this. I love how this illustration came out. I had done this upstairs on my fun art desk. The prompt was bad dog, and I just love the face. I actually used a wolf as a reference photo, but I want to make it a little bit more not mangy, but a little more fierce looking, and so now it kind of looks like a coyote. But I was kind of thinking of like American Werewolf in London, when they did the iconic wolf scene, and it's like on profile, and the guy is changing from the man into the werewolf, and like the face is kind of like elongating and the nails are, and that's kind of what I was thinking about when I was doing that. But I like the way it came out, and it was a lot of fun. And those were with Artify markers, another wonderful budget marker. So yeah, you don't have to have Copics. The Copic Kool-Aid. I call it the Copic Kool-Aid when people think the only markers that you could possibly use for any decent artwork are Copics, and I don't drink the Copic Kool-Aid. Maybe if I started off with Copics and never used anything else, I would think that, because I would definitely want that that selection bias of thinking that I made the best choice and all other choices were inferior to justify the cost of them. But since I started with like Prismacolor markers and Bic markets and stuff, I'm kind of like, no, these work too. You just got to learn techniques. Techniques will work with anything. If you learn the techniques, you can use any of the brands. It doesn't. That's the whole ethos behind my alcohol marker workshop. It's you learn the techniques. The techniques are good for everything. The techniques are good for illustration. The techniques are good for fine art. The techniques are good for adult coloring. The techniques are good for rubber stamping. They are techniques. It's like learning the language, learning English. You learn English and you can speak it to anybody else that speaks English, regardless of if you're a doctor or you are a teacher or you're a house cleaner or you're a carpenter. You all learn English so you can all talk to one another, or a common language. It's the same thing. We just all adapt it in different ways and we use it for different purposes, but it's nuts and bolts. The techniques are the same. The education that we need is the same. So I don't like things being made more complicated. I think a lot of things get way more complicated than they need to be, and it makes it harder to learn. So anyway, So I've had the last couple days. This has been such a roller coaster week. So I started off, started off the week finishing up the alcohol marker class, and I was very excited for it, but also very like critical of what I was putting out. I just want it to be good. I've been thinking about this class for years. People have been asking for it for years. I've been working on it for weeks. I just want to make sure the product I put out is not going to make anyone more confused than they were when they started. I want it to like peel away the layers of confusion. And that's what the hardest thing about developing this class, the class was just peeling away the confusion so that you get to the distilled pure essence of what you need to know. And so like I'm like, okay, I'm getting this, this is good. Putting it all together. I proofread it and then launched it. And this was like, I think Wednesday night. Oh my gosh, I think it was Wednesday night. I don't know, this week has been such a blur. And, yahoo, and I'm like, oh, I can relax now. That's done. And then you get a little bit of an anxiety. Is anybody going to like it? Is anybody going to even click? Is anybody going to buy it? I'm not launching on a weekend. Is anyone even home? Because I just put my promo on YouTube. It was Wednesday because I didn't have a watercolor class prepared for this week. And I'm like, this is my priority, getting this class done to a point where I'm happy with it and launching it. And so I posted the video at like 7 p.m. after it was all proofread. I was sure it was all good. And then, yeah, it was overwhelming response. I couldn't believe people were finding the video so soon and jumping in and enrolling. So I was just like, wow, I was so stunned. And then I did a blog post yesterday. I tried to post my video on Facebook and it wouldn't go. I don't know why. Some gremlin in the machine, I guess. But anyway, so then I get texted by one child who was having a stomach ache, wasn't feeling well, and my brain goes right to, sure, appendix is burst, and she's away at college, what am I gonna, so I go like right to freak out, friends. Wasn't even, and I was so relaxed before, I was so relaxed and just like calm, and then I was like, and she had a large meal and she felt better after she laid down, and then she had a smaller meal for dinner and then went to a dance class and was fine. And so like, okay, a tragedy avoided, urgent medical problem is not, so okay, that's good, phew, I can relax now. Then I get a text from my son who was going to come over. He had purchased some new woodworking tools, and he had them delivered here because he plans on using them here since we've got the wood workshop and we've got the space, and he lives in an apartment. And so he came over to plug in the chargers and all that stuff. They're all like cordless. And he said, I'll be back tomorrow to use them. I want to have everything charged up. So, okay, give him a hug and kiss. I sent him on his way. And then he texted me, and that was Wednesday. Yes, that was Wednesday when he came over to plug in all this stuff, because the tools had come like Monday or Tuesday. And then he texted the next day saying, I'm not going to be over today. Allie and I are sick. And so like, oh, they tested negative for COVID, but like, so I'm like worried. I'm like, well, I heard that RSV is going around. I heard the flu is really bad this year. What if it is COVID and it was too early, and so I was just kind of like, worried about that. And, so I'm like texting everyone, checking in. Are you feeling any better? Are you feeling any worse? Maybe you ought to get that checked out, because you know what? When your kids are 18 years old, you cannot call the doctor and say, I got a question about my kid. They're like, well, we can call your kid, but we can't talk to you unreliable person who's only raised them from the time they were babies. That's the ironic thing, because like, when you have a baby and you're at the hospital and you don't know what the hell you're doing, and you've been there for like a day, and they're ready to boot you out the door, and they give you this baby and they're like, here you go, best of luck. And it's like, shouldn't you like give us a test or something, or like, shouldn't there be some kind of qualifications to take this little tiny helpless fragile human away? It's just, we're not qualified. We're not qualified for this. But then it's like, when they're 18, it's like, yeah, you're not qualified to to speak on their behalf. You're not qualified to ask a question about their welfare. So yeah, that was weird. So child number 3 fell out of a hammock and got injured at school, and wasn't sure if her injury was serious, and it's like, you've got to talk to the doctor. They won't talk to to me because we never filled out paperwork to be like, yeah, you can talk to my mother if she calls. But yeah, everything seems to be fine, but still, it's like, I thought the worrying was supposed to get less. They move out, and I thought it would be like a worry respite, but that doesn't seem to be the case. It seems like you get these big chunks of like carefree, worry-free parenthood, and then like one caller texts and it's like, oh my word, they're off to school, and what is going on? Who's taking care of my baby? Oh, tell me it gets easier, please. Tell me that that the worrying gets less. Will you please, somebody, anybody? Tell me that you worry less as they get older. Am I delusional? Something tells me you guys are all laughing at me. All of you guys that have kids older than mine are laughing. And all of you guys with kids younger than mine are like, yeah, right, Lindsay, you're not gonna worry so much. It's gonna get easier, right? So welcome to the delusional parenthood meetup. Where should we meet? I don't know. Let's go to the craft store, I guess. Let's go to the art store. I don't know. But yes, every other, I'm sure it's just a cold, but still, you worry about your kids when they get sick. I remember I was like about 22, 23 maybe, and I got pneumonia, and I didn't see a doctor. I had some form of health insurance. I had started my own studio, started my own business, but I stayed on with the place I had been working part-time so that I could buy the health insurance. But it wasn't like the health insurance nowadays where they have to cover anything. It was basically like like a catastrophic type thing. Like if you get in a car accident or something, like you have like a $10,000 deductible, but then they would kick in. So you wouldn't be financially ruined for life if you got hurt or sick. So it was one of those policies, which is fine for somebody in their 20s. So, I mean, like I didn't have a doctor, and I didn't even really didn't really know where to go because I'm a pretty healthy person. So I don't typically go to the doctor. And at that age, so I remember being so sick and I didn't know what to do really. And I kept just trying to push through it and work. And because I was running my studio and I had classes, and if I didn't work, I didn't get paid. But then I was just like, I had to cancel classes because I'm like, I just can't even do anything. I was so tired. And I remember just laying on the couch, and it was like, it was in the morning. My husband left for work and I was laying on the couch. I did not move the entire time he was at work, and it was Valentine's Day, and I didn't have anything prepared because I'd been so sick. I didn't even have a card or candies or anything, and I felt so bad and so guilty, but I was so sick. I couldn't even get up and just go fix myself something to eat. I was just that lethargic and that tired. And I don't know how long I was sick for, but my mother came up and she took me down to the doctor's office that she goes to, and I had pneumonia, and they gave me this, this called a Z-Pack, and it was like 5 antibiotics. And I mean, like that, I felt better. But I was like, I don't know what would have happened if my mother didn't come, and probably my husband would have been like, okay, she's not faking it, let's get her to the hospital. But yeah, it's just like, how do you navigate that? I'm not comfortable navigating the healthcare system, and I am a grown-up. I'm a grown-up. I'm an actual grown-up. It doesn't feel like it. I don't feel like a grown-up, guys. I gotta tell you the truth. I don't feel like a grown-up, but apparently I am, but I don't feel comfortable navigating the healthcare system, and I have actual good insurance, and still it's it's still scary and uncomfortable, and I hate it. And I'm just I'm just really glad that I've been relatively healthy. And honestly, I think that, what's kept me being a vegan for so long, beyond the angst of my teenage years, is the fact that I want to stay healthy and not have to go to the doctor ever. So I think that's honestly, that's my biggest motivation for exercising every day and eating whole food plant-based, is just that, yeah, I don't want to get sick and die. I don't want to have to give control over to medical professionals. And I'm fine with that for me. I'm fine with making those choices for me. But making the choices for other people, it's like, well, maybe you should get that checked out. You probably should. We probably should. We need to talk to a professional because I am not qualified. I feel like I'm qualified to make that choice for me, but I'm not qualified to make choices like that for others. Oh boy, I feel real bad for anybody that was watching this video expecting to learn something or to to learn anything other than my neurotic tendencies, I guess. I don't know. But the week's been good overall. Yeah, it's been wild. It's been busy. It's been, I just want my kids to be healthy. Really, do you want anything, once you have a parent, that's like it's like your only objective. You want your kids to be healthy and well-adjusted people. That's it, really. That takes over everything. You could be having the best day in the whole wide world, and if one of your kids gets sick or hurt, it's like, nope, that day just went downhill. You don't care about any of that happy stuff. You just want to take care of your kid, make sure your kid is fine, you know? And it's frustrating. It's frustrating if you don't know what to do, or you can't, or whatnot. So yeah, hug your babies. I hope everybody's healthy. Take care of yourselves. I heard it's going to be a pretty, it could be a pretty bad flu season this year, because we've all been isolating still and wearing masks and things like that. We just haven't been exposed to any of the little germs that protect us from the bigger germs. So, so I want everyone to stay healthy. You guys, don't make me worry about you. Don't make me worry about you guys. You stay healthy. Take care of yourselves. You eat good food. Look after each other. You know, foster strong communities so, you know, you're not lonely and you've got people looking after you. I mean, it's, yeah, what's the world coming to? What is the world coming to? I don't know. It occurred to me that, like, I've gone years without talking to some close friends, and it's just like, oh my word, I just like fell off a cliff. You know what I mean? It's so easy to get isolated nowadays, and to go weeks without talking to people. I'm still listening to that book, The 4-Hour Workweek. Why is it taking me like 3 weeks to listen to the audiobook for this? They talked about, and this is not from this, I feel like this book is all plagiarized from all these other books I've already read. But anyways, they're talking about, you are a combination of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And that would be my family, my immediate family, my 3 kids, my husband, and myself, because my dog, because, yeah, it's like, I don't go out to a job. I work from home. I don't go out much other than, like, you know, I'm gonna go to the grocery store, I'm gonna go to the library, I'll go to pickleball. I don't get out much, you know, visit my parents once a month. It's, you know, when you think about that, the 5 people you spend the most time with, well, I guess it probably should be your immediate family, but, you start thinking, it's like, wow, I used to be such a social butterfly. But I guess we're all more like isolated now that we have all this technology. On one hand, it's great because it brings us together, right? We can learn and we can chat together. But on the other hand, what's it done to our physical relationships outside of people we live with? You know, I mean, it's kind of sad when you think about it. So foster your communities. People that live over 100, the thing they have in common is that they live somewhere with a strong community, and most of them actually are plant-based as well. So I'm just gonna check all those boxes off on my bingo card and hope for the best. But I don't know. Are you guys as neurotic as me? You can let me know in the comments below. I don't know if that's possible. I think I'm like probably a 10 out of 10 on the neurotic scale, but hey, it's kept me well this long, I guess. Anyway, that's all from today. I'll link anything relevant if I remember in the comments below, in the video description. Thanks for watching. Please give me a thumbs up if you like this. And until next time, happy crafting. Bye.